Communication and Stylistics, Part 2. David Crystal sees style as referring to the distinctive characteristics of some single author's use of language, which in this study can be revealed through the examination of different markers of style. Let us study these markers and see how they may relate to the completion of the communication process as viewed by Crystal, Harnish, and Loki. Stylistic markers. Stylistic markers are also referred to as stylistic elements, which are the use of any of a variety of techniques to give an auxiliary meaning, idea, or feeling to the literal or written communication, as well as the verbal oral communication. In the written mode of communication, the graphic elements such as bolding, italicization, capitalization, use of lowercase graphic features, big or small orthographic characters, use of punctuation marks and other graphic signs like numerals import a variation in the sense, that is, meaning of the communicative intent. These graphic features vividly display language variation. In the spoken mode, however, levels of language variation may be displayed through language levels such as the phonological, lexical, or syntactic, but also the style shift, which is the adjustment from one speech style to another depending on the context, status, modality or setting, and level of formality. What is the significance of stylistic markers? Stylistic markers are significant in stylistic analysis. Stylistic analysis in the study of language refers to the identification of patterns of usage in speech and writing that would be employed to show the sense, that is, the meaning in the communicative intent, that is, the goal. In literary studies, stylistic analysis is normally done to help commenting on the quality and meaning in a text. In literary studies, the artists can be differentiated from one another from the way they express themselves, or one artist's work may be differentiated from another work by the choice of language used. The analysis here regards whether the artist uses serious standard language or popular colloquial language, and studies the levels of language and the study of each of the branches of language involved and their relations in communication. Stylistic analysis. This analysis studies the 5 levels of language, namely 1. Phonetic and graphic level, which reveal phonological and phonetic relations with the communicative intent. 2. Phonological and graphological level that reveal the different patterns like alignment, capitalization, bolding, italicization, use of punctuation marks, numerals, listing and numbering, and their relationship with the communicative intent. 3. Grammatical level. This reveals the grammar and syntax with their relationship with the communicative intent, which is the way words are constructed, words and their constituent structures. 4. The lexical level. This reveals the choice of words, that is diction, for the purpose of the communicative intent. And 5. The semantic level. This reveals the intended meaning of either the literal or non-literal sense of the communicative intent. Explanation of the stylistic analysis. The sound of spoken language. The sound of the spoken language is the level of language at which the phonology and phonetic studies of language are at play. Two levels of stylistic features can be identified here, namely the phonetic graphetic level and the phonological graphological level. 1. The phonetic graphetic level. On the written text, there are features that help to focus the reader to the communicative intention of that writer. Some of these features include bolding, underlining, italicization, capitalization, and font size, which in a way suggest the quality, character, and attitude that the reader should take when reading. This means that the graphetic features depict the tone of the writer, which is phonetic in character. In spoken discourse, the phonetic features comprise of voice quality, rising and falling tone, word and sentence stress, and the like. Voice quality in communication is the extralinguistic behavior in speech that identifies the speaker, gender, age, voice, the range of pitch and prominence, that is loudness, together with the habitual factors of the speaker. An analyzer looks into this and identifies whether the speaker is feminine or masculine, young or old, and the pitch and the tone for the choice of pitch movement on the tonic syllable that yield the mood of the speaker with regard to the communicative intent. Reduplicative words are also often used when a speaker adopts a tone more expressive or figurative than ordinary speech. To be able to fulfill this purpose of communication, pronunciation, stress, intonation, and tone are very crucial. If we do not present what we say in our speeches in the right pronunciation, stress, and intonation, great miscomprehension and misconception may occur, but also the communicative intention may be blurred, that is, distorted or not realized. Studying the spoken language it is necessary to distinguish between public speech and private speech. Public speech may be realized in the media, TV or radio interviews, parliamentary debates, or scholarly panel discussions. Like all other speech, public speech is of the spur of the moment, that is, spontaneous, unplanned. Such speech contains impersonal, detached, and ambiguous expressions. Private speech, on the other hand, is the face-to-face conversation which is also unprepared and produced on the spot. Private speech is also loosely structured and is organized in long, close complexes. In private conversation, interlocutors portray a high degree of involvement and subjectivity. Attitudinal meanings are predominant here. Listen to the two interlocutors. TV interviewer: would you mind if I ask you to tell the viewers your first day experience in married life? I mean, what strange experiences, surprises, or could we say, what shocked you? What has given you unforgettable pleasure or distressing memories? Interviewee: well, not really, but some of those things, those experiences are what I consider to be one's small personal secrets. I would say telling them in public would seem to me as stripping oneself naked on a stage in an auditorium full of people that respect you. And, well, you can dine in public, but playing house? What should that should be in the bedroom, I presume. Analysis of the text. Studying the text, it can be noticed that the sentences are long with embedded ideas, seemingly of the spur of the moment, as its flow reveals the unplanned nature. Married life, what strange experiences. Stripping oneself naked on a stage in an auditorium full of people that respect you, and well, you can dine in public, but playing house? An auditor notices in this text the use of euphemism. Taboo expressions are not uttered in public. Playing house instead of the crude expression play sex. Detached spontaneous ideas are noted. Further, ambiguous or unclear expressions appear that force the speaker to elaborate in quest of getting the communicative intent realized, as in this one. Your first day experiences in married life. The speaker then elaborates. I mean, what strange experiences? Regarding the shape of the text on the page, it is dialogic. The interlocutors appear bolded, while their speech appears after the punctuation mark colon in italics and is indented. Private speech. In private speech, the second interlocutor or the auditor examiner may encounter taboo words and expressions because the speech is normally uncensored, at times vulgar because the interlocutors are in most cases familiar. The language may be metaphoric and informal, colloquial, that is, conversational. Contractions and short forms are dominant. For example, Juma says, tell me, Annie, isn't Mom mad at me? Me thinks her looks are disapproval of my courting you. Uh, I mean, Anne replies, Jay, trust me, I know my mother. She isn't cross at no one. What she needs to see is our transparency and sincerity. Actually, eavesdropping, me clearly heard her telling Dad about us. Know what? Daddy just said, tell Anne she should always come home with her 2 ears, not 4. Analysis of the text. An analysis of this text reveals that auditor the free modification of names like Anna to Annie, Anne, Juma to Jay. The informal use of language, mom for mother, dad, daddy for father, me thinks for I think, know what for do you know, just said instead of just said, which is ellipsis. There is breach of grammatical rules, as in, me clearly heard her telling dad about us. Instead of, I heard clearly, sorry, instead of, I clearly heard her telling. Private speech may also use metaphors. Come home with her 2 years, not 4 years. For get unplanned pregnancy. Analysis at phonological with graphological level. At the phonological level, consideration is given to the pronunciation, stress, rhythm, rhyme, repetition of sounds, and intonation, which have an import in the communicative intent. The phonological and graphic level of language analysis can be evidenced through graphological features like punctuations, spellings, spacing of words, and alignment. The analyzer notices the sound system of a language and also describes formal rules of pronunciation. The phonological analysis focuses on analyzing sound patterns, utterance of different words, and uncovering the systemic use of sound in language in order to reveal the meaning, ideas, focuses, and characteristic behavior in a text. Consider the following excerpt. Despite the introduction of other platforms, radio still reaches more Americans every day than nearly any other single medium. The average adult in the US consumes 90 minutes of radio per day. User immersion in radio has proven effective for advertisers of all types, but it's especially coveted by the results-driven world of direct response marketing because of its efficiency and agility. The on-demand nature of the radio media world ensures your ads start and stop quickly, and radio's low production costs make changing your commercial or testing new elements incredibly low risk. Stylistic analysis of the text. Analyzing this text reveals the patterns of written language on the page, the grammatical, lexical, and semantic levels. Graphologically, the alignment is flushed to the left and the spacing is normal, about 2 points between lines and 1 space between words. No indentation at the beginning of paragraphs. The sentences are long but amply punctuated. The typed graphic are legible, that is, easy to read for clarity, and some sentences and phrases are bolded so that they are more conspicuous and they import emphasis. There is the use of statistics, for example, consumes 90 minutes of radio per day, which aims to convince the reader. Grammatically, the sentences follow the conventional pattern subject, verb, object, complement, adverbial. That is, the average adult in the US is a subject, consumes is a verb, 90 minutes of radio is object, per day is adverbial. The bolded graphic aim to capture the attention of the reader. The lexical level. At the lexical level, there is the use of powerful adjectives to hook clients, which is the nature of advertisements. For example, direct is an adjective qualifying the noun response. Low is an adjective qualifying the adverb production, which together qualify the noun costs. So, Adjective and adverb qualify the noun costs. Incredibly low is adjective and adverb qualifying the noun risk. The text has forceful verbs that urge the reader to take action. Has proven effective, especially coveted. By the use results-driven world, the radio media world ensures your ads start and stop quickly. Because of the grammar and choice of vocabulary, the text is obviously an advertisement and is semantically literal and needs no disambiguation. Conclusively, the language of the text is formal, advertisement language that conform to the norms of advertising, applying all levels of language and utilizing those levels effectively to satisfy the communicative intention. Phonology in written texts. In the written text, some spellings suggest how a word should be pronounced. The pronunciation that may also suggest the intended communication. Yet, in some texts, the repetition of sounds, as in poetry, alliteration, consonants, assonance, onomatopoeia, and ideophones, could be used for communicative endings. Alliteration, consonants, and assonance may be used to paint some important picture in the mind of the reader, or to create sounds that have a special appeal to the audience. These are therefore tools that aid to realize the communicative intention of the writer or speaker. Furthermore, onomatopoeia relates echoes of life experiences of the communicator to be shared by the audience, while ideophones create mind pictures for the reader or listener. See the phonological import of a written text. The morning mist and chimney smoke of White City Jabavu flowed thick yellow as pus oozing from a gigantic soul. An abandoned bundle. Mshali. Based on the first impression, the shape of the text on the surface is broken sentences presented in lines, each beginning with a capital letter without any other punctuation. There seems to exist a license to breach grammatical rules, which suggests the excerpt to be poetic. The stress movement in the lines creates some form of cadences, melodic configuration that creates music. The excerpt is idiophonic. The choice of flow of words gives a message that creates a picture and produces sounds in the mind of the audience. The reader could see in the mind's eye actual thick yellow pus as well as flies buzzing and hovering over the suppurated wound. The reader seems also to smell the foul smell of pus. Ideophones create a picture of movement, sound, color, smell, or mood that is descriptive for the effective communication. 3. Analysis at the grammatical level. A stylistic analysis at the grammatical level of language reveals the difference between spoken and written language in three important aspects: structure, content, and the character of communication. The written language bears a matter-of-fact, more formal nature with a polished grammar and carefully chosen lexis. The grammar is highly polished after experiences of planning, drafting, editing, and finally proofreading. Ideas bear a linear development of fluency of the pre-planned text. Written texts are also characterized by compactness of a condensed matter with brevity of expression. Consider this example. Another important kind of energy is radiant energy. Visible light, infrared radiation, ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, and radio waves are radiant energy. They are all closely similar in nature. See sections 3 to 10, 3 to 11, 3 to 12, 25 to 5. Linus Pauling, College Chemistry, 1964. Analysis of the text. Prima facie, the text is distributed evenly between the margins, giving the text clean, crisp edges, leading to a polished look. The paragraph is indented. The topic sentence carries an italicized noun phrase, radiant energy, which is the focus of the text. Brackets have been used to enclose further information found in the parts of the main text. Numbering has been used to facilitate this information. The information shows that the text is pre-planned. As for grammar, the sentences have an acceptable structure, adhering to the SVOCA, that is subject verb object complement adverbial conventional agreement. That is, another important kind of energy, which is the subject, is verb, radiant energy, which is a complement. The text is presented in regular simple present tense, typical of a descriptive narrative. The content of the message in the text has a form that can be deemed intellectual from its planned activity and a careful choice of vocabulary from the particular register in the science domain. Analysis at the lexical level. Inspecting the individual words, it is noticeable that there is the use of noun phrases of the pattern adjective plus noun. For example, radiant is an adjective plus energy, which is a noun, radiant energy. Visible is an adjective plus light, which is a noun, visible light. Infrared is an adjective plus energy, which is a noun, infrared energy. Radio is an adjective plus waves, which is a noun, radio waves. The nomenclature, that is, the devising of names, is typically scientific, depicting the characteristics of the named object or element. Although this text was picked from a chemistry book, the vocabulary in the text is basically chosen from the physical sciences, physics, or there could be a very close relationship between the two provinces of the science domain. The words used are, by the large, concrete, although some abstract words like energy have been applied as well. 5. Analysis at the semantic level. At the semantic level, the analyzer judges the general meaning of a text through the analysis of the context. The technical and linguistic points of view, that is, register. The analyzer studies the relationships between words and how meaning is constructed, shedding a light on the world view or experiences of those engaged in the particular communication. A language is understood as a predictable system of communication that carry meaning. Furthermore, communication is facilitated because words have meanings that they convey. It is definitely clear, therefore, that a stylistic analyzer should describe those meanings. Since grammar describes language, a portion of it must describe meaning, making grammar an integral part of the semantics. Regarding the meaning of words and utterances, it is important to realize that there is connotative and denotative meaning, where connotation is the commonly understood cultural or emotional association that some word or phrase carries, in addition to its explicit or literal meaning, which is denotation. Consider this text for semantic analysis. The two ridges lay side by side, like two lions ready to come into life and death blows. One was Makuyu and the other was Kameno. Analyzing this text at the semantic level, the auditor notices that the language used is figurative, that is, simile, and non-literal. The ridges are inanimate and cannot fight. The ridges are compared to beasts, and that the meaning relations of the words indicate antagonism that exists between the two ridges, and that this antagonism is of the people residing on the two ridges, not of the physical ridges. So, come into life and death blows does not mean actual fighting, rather conflict or misunderstanding social groups. Let us study this excerpt. The student, notorious and undisciplined as he was, made a great genius, always scoring a 0, or occasionally figures that do not exceed the size of his shoes. I will repeat this one. The student, notorious and undisciplined as he was, made a great genius, always scoring a 0, or occasionally figures that do not exceed the size of his shoes. The meaning relations in this text is ironic and sarcastic. The speaker or writer does not definitely mean that the student was a genius. There is no collocation between notorious and undisciplined and made a great genius, or between a great genius and always scoring a 0. Let us consider yet another example. Text. Discourse analysis is the study of a text, language, and conversations. When we concentrate in linguistic description, we focus on accurate presentation of form and meaning within the text. Notes. Sense relation. Discourse means address. Text means writing. Language means verbal. Conversations means talks. Linguistic means language or verbal. Description means explanation. Representation means symbol. Meaning means sense or connotation or denotation. 8 lexical items out of 14 content words have related meanings, all associated with communication. Analyzing the text above at the semantic level, the analyzer notices the high percentage of sense-related vocabulary, all associated with language. Judging the lexis through the analysis of the context and the social-intellectual experiences, also the worldview, it can rightly be judged here that the text has a linguistic meaning. Conclusively, Stylistic analysis could also be done with regard to context, that is, environment in which language is put into use, or setting, that is, context of communication. Province, that is, subject matter of specialization, or register, that is, the activity or occupation into which language is at play. The analysis on this line can generally be termed contextual analysis. On this line, the analyzer may look into the language of conversation, scientific language, legal language, religious language, language of public speaking, language of advertisement, journalism, that is, language of journalism, reporting language, language of correspondences, and so on. Thank you for following the lesson. Watch out for more stylistic analysis and the analysis of prescribed poems, plays, and novels. Thank you.